Button. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Brian with Connecting Communities and Brandi. Brandi, say hi.
Hi.
We have a very, very special guest today. It is Laura Lee Gherkin. Laura, say hello.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
So where are we all from? So we got Brandi, who's in Perrysburg. I'm in Maumee, South Toledo-ish. Laura, where are you from?
I am in straight up South Toledo, right?
Okay, and South Toledo is like the real South Toledo. It's not like where you have to figure out where you can turn, right?
Oh,
Be like,
no,
all right, South Toledo.
we're at the trail in Detroit, baby.
Okay, Laura, you and I are right next to each other. I'm right beside. I'm Trail Detroit. I am Ernest Brewery.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to talk more.
Okay, so it's funny. So we'll be here, and my parent or my in-laws live out by Bowser High School, and it will rain there, but it won't rain here.
Oh, that's my dad lives over on the river, so there's like some little buffer, it seems like.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'd agree with that. So lots of stuff to talk about. So what I want to do first and foremost is let's talk about what's going on. Let's talk about you, Laura. Let's tell the audience a little bit who you are, what you are, and kind of why we kind of are hanging out today.
Hi. So my name is Laura Lee. Last name is Gherkin. If that sounds familiar, that is because my dad is a local elected official. He has been for a really long time now, actually. He started on Toledo City Council in the mid 90s. Someone's going to have to look at his Wikipedia to know that for sure. And right now he's,
that's what I like to call it, the 1900s.
Yeah, I mean, it could be at this point when we talk about the before times. And so he's actually still in county government, and he's on the ballot. So in November, so vote for B. Gherkin. And right now I've started a podcast called Toledo Talks, and I post on Tuesdays and Fridays. And what I've been doing is just going through the Toledo Blade and 13 ABC, also pulling in from the Columbus Dispatch and Cleveland.com, places like that, and just sort of talking about the news going on locally and within the state of Ohio. I know everything's very overwhelming at the moment. So I'm just trying to, break things down for people so that they can understand it locally and how is it going to affect their immediate lives.
So do you believe that you've started this passion to speak on these causes because of your upbringing? Because, I mean, for folks that don't know, Brandi is somewhat still kind of new, coming back to the political world of Toledo. Your views and your dad's views aren't always the same.
They are not always the same. They were for a long time, but as you grow up, you start to get, kids start to have their own thoughts and behaviors, and
really,
I know sometimes that's difficult for parents, but hey, even at 37, I am a big kid, so I mean, this, as you said, Brian, this has been in my DNA, and even before my dad was an elected official, he was a union steward at the Jeep plant. So advocating for people and standing up for justice and fairness and equalities sort of just been bred into me. My mom was an EAP rep at Jeep. So again, with the caring and compassion, connecting people to services. My grandfather was an attorney for collective bargaining. So it's, it's just kind of, it's been the writing on the wall. It's actually funny. I think my first podcast episode was the day after the city council arrests. And I promise I didn't do that on purpose. I wasn't like watching the news. It was
ratings.
Yeah, but the timing just happened out that way.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Do you care to talk about that, or is that done and over with, and you don't even want to deal with that?
Oh gosh, no. Are you kidding? That's definitely not done and over with. Well, I mean, it is done and over with insofar as all 4 council people have suspended from council. They're using all very weird language with this, making sure that they suspended instead of saying they resigned, but it's effectively the same thing.
Well, let me ask you this. If they're suspended, they're still getting benefits, right? Was that you, Brandi, that brought that up last week?
Well, typically, if they suspend them from office, then yes. But if they voluntarily suspend, they may forego some of those benefits.
Oh,
So I
I thought
don't
that's what they were
get into
holding out
that
on.
because I don't know that for sure. But I know typically that could be one of the things that can happen.
Well, in city council, people are actually considered part-time employees,
Yeah.
which
They don't qualify in any way.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I was wondering. They probably would count for PERS time, but I'm not sure that whole calculation. But, so yeah, they're now out of governance. They're not on city council anymore. So there is a little bit of a void there where District 1 and District 4 and 2 at-large seats are empty now. So they are Jack Puffenberger, Judge Puffenberger, who's the judge of the probate court, is accepting letters of intent through, I think it's August 27th for appointment, and then he's going to take all of the letters and appoint our next 4 people. So if to be considered for District 1 or District 4, you actually have to live in those neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. But anyone in the city of Toledo can apply for those other 2 positions. And I know that I saw on Facebook, I know today at least one person has publicly announced and put forth that they are vying for one of those spots. And that's a local Black Lives Matter activist, Julian Mack. I'm not sure how familiar any of you guys are with him, but he's wonderfully smart and wonderfully engaged and very connected to the community. So I'm very excited to see him putting his name forth. He'd be great on city council. And, I always like the idea of bringing it down to the millennial generation, getting us a little bit of power there too.
There we go. Mm-hmm.
Laura, what about you? Any chance that we will see you in a seat in the next 10 years, plus or minus? Minus?
Minus. Yeah, I do get that question a lot because of my dad. I've always
No. I'm asking this question because of you and your passion.
Oh, because of
you
me,
are
my
separate.
passion.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I
have
am
his
a
last
separate
name.
entity. Right. Yeah, I am a separate entity, but not a lot of people remember that. So thank you for remembering that. I look at it this way. When I was in high school, I really, 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 really loved musicals. I loved musicals. I was never once cast in one. I always did stage crew though. So I think that's sort of the way that I look at it, is that I like to just be on the outside pushing on the inside a little bit. I'm not 100% sure how well my personality plays as an authoritative person, because I'm always the one that's pushing authority.
I think the fact that you know that says a lot about your character, right? You already know what your strengths are. And there are people that need someone to push them. They will jump over and do that when they have that support. So we all have roles to play. And I think the fact that you're at 37 and you know your role,
well,
Brandi,
I know my role
what's your
today.
thoughts?
We'll see.
Exactly. That's the point. You are a millennial, right? But you are ever revolving, because it might be different in 3 weeks, let alone 3 years. Brandi, what's your thoughts?
On her joining, go ahead.
Right?
Do your thing.
You.
I don't think I am necessarily cut out for local politics. I have a big mouth and I don't typically do what people want me to do. So I don't think that is particularly where I would shine. But I am good supportively. Like I can certainly push something from the background and make the wheels turn from the back. But yeah, I don't see myself in office.
One of the things that I noticed, I think this was in, Time is a nonsensical, I don't know if anybody watches The Good Place, whatever he calls it, the Jeremy Bearimy. I'm pretty sure the timeline we're on right now. But I think it was back in 2017 when you had or maybe it was 19. Yeah, I think it must have been 19 because I'm specifically thinking of like your representative Katie Porter and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. There had been a couple of hearings, and I'm thinking specifically of one with Facebook where they just, the questions that they were asking were so smart and so just like getting deep into it. And what it really came out to be is that the newer reps are utilizing their staff for research and prepping and in getting them up to par on going into those hearings, where you have people in government that have been around for a long time and, they get complacent and think that they, sort of already know all the answers, so that they don't study as hard. And I think that's where, how we get into a place where we are, collectively top down, is not having enough people who are pushing and agitating and supporting. So I know that's what I've loved seeing personally over the last 2 months, especially everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of pushing and agitating, let me tell you what happened to me over the weekend.
Uh-oh.
So we all know, pretty big voice, especially more so in the last 3 months, right? So kind of throw it out there. I have family all over the place, right? Luckily or unluckily, depending on how you take it, I was removed from my family at an early age of 8, traveled to Hawaii, got cultured, different standards, different upbringing at the end of the day. So things that I think are absolutely just not funny, some of my other family would think that they're absolutely hilarious in every which way. One of which was this meme that was going around over the weekend regarding a black version of Snow White. And they were naming these dwarfs, and I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't know the exact name of all of them, but I'm going to paraphrase. But it was, oh gosh, like hustler, pimp, just very generic, stereotypical names of people of color, black people, African Americans, whatever terminology you want to use out there. Ending it with stating that they were offended because of the black prostitutes, and they were offended because they weren't going to be singing "Off to Work They Go." So when I see this post on my cousin's timeline, it triggered me. I've seen enough of their things where I've actually called out some of their children on their racist ways and so forth, and I have just had enough. Now, in saying that, we also have black family members, so to me, it's even a more situation, right? So once I called them out, you can imagine what happened when all these other family members are coming in. Now, all I stated was, you were ignorant and you're racist. Those are the 2 things I stated. So then they're coming at me over all these other personal things, and I had to call myself, said self, and I knew it was myself because I was wearing my underwear. That was a funny joke. Okay, so anyway, so I told myself, okay, we cannot make this personal. This is the situation right here, right now that we're talking about. And I shut everything else down. And I'm like, this is it. And then they came back with me and said, oh, you know what? Eddie Murphy and Andrew Dice Clay, and naming all these comedians that post things that are funny. And I said, absolutely, because they're comedians and people pay to do this. This is not the platform to do that. You're not a comedian. It's not funny, not in the times we're in, not 20 years ago. It wasn't funny, and it's not funny today. It's ignorant and it's racist. So again, we went back and forth on a lot of different things. I went to my mom, and I was so frustrated and so angry because it wasn't okay. And I said, look, Mom, I said, this is what happened. She goes, look, now my mother does not give me good advice. She never has. The only thing that my mother has really ever given me that I've lived by to this day, and I teach my son, is be whatever you want in this world. Just don't hurt anybody. I don't care what you do, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. You want to be a garbage man? Go be the best garbage man in your life. Get garbage man of the month every single month. You know what I mean? Just don't hurt anyone. So my mother's other advice was to say, Brian, take a step back and look at the big picture. Look at who these people are. So I reevaluated and processed to look at this group of individuals, a family, and some of their actions in the past really set them in those tone. And it really made me even sadder because they weren't being racist intentionally, which isn't okay. I'm not saying that's okay by no means. but they didn't even have any concept that they were being insensitive and that they're racist. They have no clue. To the point that then their daughter came after me and attacked me. Oh, you had your friends attack my mom and called her these names. I said, first off, I never called your mom names. That's not my style. I said what I said. I called her a racist. I sure did, because that was my point. Oh, well, your friends were saying mean things about her dad dying. I said, well, number two, I can't control my friends. I said, but again, they're not my friends. My friends would never come onto your page to do that. I surround myself with people in those situations. I don't need defending in the situation. I wasn't being attacked. I said my piece and it was done. And I tried to explain to her that that was the sad part, was that they didn't even know that they're being racist. They think it's funny and that's a joke. That's almost, I don't want, that's worse than knowing you're a racist, right? Because I mean, like, there's no hope for you if you can't get fixed. Like, if you don't even know it, there's just no hope.
Well, I definitely can understand where you come from feeling that way, because especially when it's, you're so deep in it, it's like, what can I do? Like, what else can I do or say to make people get it? And the thing that is kind of sucks is that everybody just has to go through their process until they get it. But I did see a really great TikTok, hi again here for the millennial faction. I'll be talking about TikTok.
Hi, TikTok.
Okay, good. But there was this really great TikTok on there of this young man that was talking about white privilege and how people really push back about it, and he compared it to being right-handed, and it was a black young man that was doing it, talking about it. So it's it really resonated for him. It's like, oh, that's white privilege, is you're sitting here existing in a right-hand world. Everything in the world is created for right-handed people, and we completely take for granted that fact that everything is made easier for us because we're right-handed. And that's what white privilege is it's the same way. So when it's hard to see the forest for the trees, I guess is what I'm saying. And I totally understand but there are lines where there's certain things that you don't get to say without consequence.
But, Brady, do you know why they didn't feel like they were prejudiced? They literally told me this word. They this phrase.
Oh God, why?
Because they have black friends. I said that does not mean that you get a pass. It doesn't. I don't like Diet Coke, but I like Coke. Does that mean that I'm okay? It doesn't. Just ignorance in every which way. They have no desire to do better for themselves. I don't understand.
Well, I think what you're describing is two different things, right? So ignorance is not knowing. Choosing to not know is complacency and comfort. So that is your white privilege in all its glory, is that you don't have to conform. You don't have to try to step out of your bounds. I wouldn't say that they're ignorant, because this is 2020. We all know what we should and shouldn't be saying, period.
Don't enable them. Is that what I'm hearing? Is don't
enable them. Call them for what they are. If you are a racist, let them rest upon being a racist, and it is not ignorance. It's soul and sheer a general lack of responsibility. And
it gets better. I got 2 Facebook texts going, great job standing up against them. I just saw your post in the group. Do you know what group they ended up? They screenshotted this and put this in another group. Do you know what group they put this in? I'm so embarrassed.
What is it? Your family page?
Yes. Yeah. No. My family put it in a group saying, I hate white people and I'm a white person.
I mean, sometimes I don't like white people, though.
Isn't that the pot calling the kettle black at the end of the day? No color intended in there. I mean,
were they saying that you don't like white people, or
no? They were saying they don't like white people. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we've given people passes for so many centuries that at this point people they refuse to change. And so we have to start leaving those people where they are. In terms of education, there is a limit, or I guess I should say there are parameters in which we can educate people and help move them forward. But when we are in 2020, in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of an economic crisis, in the middle of unemployment rates like higher than they've been in 50 years, we are not ignorant. We are all aware of what's going on. Black Lives Matters is on almost every state, has at least one place where it's on the street. You know the relevancy and why that would be an issue. So I'm not giving your family a pass, and I'll say hello to all the family. But
oh, you don't have to. It got to the point that the gentleman ended up like threatening me nicely, right? Like passive aggressively. I was camping. I'd had a couple drinks in me, so I was fired up. So I gave him my phone number. I said, you know where I live? When I come back from vacation, come on, I'll be here, you know? And then someone else was like, you're going to hit a disabled guy? I said, no, I'm going to let him kick my butt. I'm not a fighter. But if he is that upset, I'll be home after vacation. You know, I mean, what else do you want me to do?
But one of the things that I want to encourage you to do, though, Brian, is I want you to start looking at this. This is just a recommendation from a Black person.
Oh, I'll take it.
From me. I'm not going to say from a Black person. That's not good. It's a recommendation from me. I would start saying, you know exactly what you are doing to contribute and change the situation, right? You are dedicated to talking about it in this forum. You're lending your voice to a broader topic. Don't let those people work you up anymore. It's just pointless. Don't let them work you up anymore, because the moment you do that, you become a part of the chatter. Now, you can come on there and educate them, but I would think what your family's going to see is hey, he is serious about his point of view, and he's not going to play games. Don't let it work you up. We see what you're doing.
Well, that's why I didn't get personal, because I normally, you know, there'd have been an argument. I kept it right on point, because I was not going to let them take anything away from the discussion on hand. It wasn't about him not liking me. It wasn't about what happened 15 years ago. It was about the comment that was made today in the middle of this craziness, when we have Black family members that are being hurt by these comments.
Absolutely. I get it. No. And to be fair, I think that white people right now have a duty to do this. There is a large duty to call this out. And I feel like racism was created by white people, so it has to be fixed by white people. And so I do believe that we do have to have our white co-conspirators, which is what I call them. We have to have them do the work. But in your particular situation with your family, they're playing games, child. They know that they're racist, and they just are like, they're going to have you going back and forth. And by the end of it, you will be kicking somebody's behind, or there'll be some sort of dispute, right? Yeah. And that's another topic. Like, how are we going to continue relationships with this going on? Like, do you continue relationships? I personally have.
No, I shut it down.
Right.
So I am blocked on them. Now, when I see them in public, am I going to go back onto this? No. If I see them, I might nod as acknowledgement, but I'm not going to carry on a conversation. I have no desire to break bread with you. You have showed your character. I said my piece. You said yours. We're cool. Now, if they come to me in my space, I will try to eliminate and walk away and do all that good stuff. But I'm not going to poke the bear, because there's no point. I said my piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in that situation, I mean, I just had another situation where a friend did something extremely out of characteristic. And some of the chatter that I heard about this person previously over the years, now it has come back onto me. So I don't know that, you know, and then those are the things that you kind of take personally at the end of the day, right? Nobody is better that they're not going to get. At the end of the day, my son's going to lie to me. No matter how strong of a relationship we have, he's going to tell me a lie.
Yeah.
Right. Laura, did you lie to your dad at all?
Oh my God. Today. I don't know. Yeah, it's there is a part of life. And so there's this concept that I heard about a couple years ago, and it is difficult. And I know I'm still working on it, is the difference between calling out and calling in. So if it's someone that for example, if someone did something out of character or that appears out of character for you, and how you approach that is you call them back into your circle. So you have like a more loving dialogue about it. And it's basically, putting a stopper between, the instant of where you want to lash out and be like, what did you just say? It's putting a stopper in that and approaching it more with, and trying to get people pulling them back in. But, there's only so many people that works with. And there's only so many times that you can call someone in, and then you just got to start calling them out.
Was that passive aggressively on Facebook? Where you put something out there, then you put it to that special list that only certain people see, then you wait to see if they see it.
Oh no! Calling in is way more active. No face vague booking. That's what I like to call it. That's the vague book. No, it's about just like having, asking people to, go deeper when they make those comments of like how like where is that coming from? And like I said, it's a skill and it takes a lot of work. And my brother-in-law is an excellent litigator, so I've picked it up over some years watching him, of just how to keep yourself calm, but it's hard.
I think it's a struggle too, because then you could become that. I'm very one, like I like to, let's nip this in the bud. Like if I'm offended, I don't want to sit on it. I don't want to be angry about it 3 months down the line. I don't want to, let's talk about right here, right now. Typically the other person is nothing like me. So it's that dance to try to figure out, okay, how do we, how can this work and so forth. It's a tough. Brandi, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, you and I, as well, all three of us, deal with so many different types of personality. Now, Laura, if memory serves me correct, and I may not do this correctly, so I'm not offended, but are you a paralegal?
Yes.
What's your
paralegal?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And mainly, and people, so like most people don't know what a paralegal is we do all the work and the attorneys get all the credit at the end of the day. So like nurse, doctor, similar dynamic. But yeah, mainly the area that I did with, was with, probate. So after someone passes away. So definitely a high time of high emotions,
you're dealing
high
with
anxiety with people.
Yeah, and anger. You just depending on what day you talk to them is the stage that they're going to be in. So,
I'll tell you what, people love to litigate their whole lifetime after, mom and dad have passed away. So it's really, it could be really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Brandi, is it tough for you being in a multiracial family? I mean, at the end of the day, with your husband being a white guy, right? There's different language, there's different conversations. Now, luckily, you come from a progressive family. You guys have a child together, so you guys have a mission, right? So nothing is new. Everything has already been talked about by the time it happens. You've been, you know what I mean? So that makes it a lot easier, but it's those outside pieces. Are you feeling anything on the outside? Is he feeling anything different on the outside with this crazy within the last 3 months? What's been going on?
I have witnessed, how do I say this? Cute, professional, and factual. People that had a lot of rollover points on their white privilege.
Okay.
And so, especially when it comes to the masks wearing situation, people are really serious about not wearing masks. And I had a woman that got in my face. And this has happened to me multiple times at the same store. So I was like, okay, I know we're supposed to be wearing masks. Like, why is she in my, so I think I've just noticed that people are just a little meaner right now. Some folks, I also have noticed that there are a lot of white folks that are coming out of like everywhere, like, we're not with them, which I think is cool. I'll be transparent. My best friends are 2 white girls. We've been friends for a long, long time, at least 7 years, something like that. Love these girls. And they're also 2 serious Democrats, okay? Serious Democrats. I am a bit more conservative, have been a little more conservative in my views. And so we've had debates on, especially when President Obama was in office, like we had these crazy debates, right? And usually some folks would think it would be the opposite with us having a Black president. I would be pro Obama, but there were some things that I just didn't agree with. And so we've had all these transitions in our relationship, but when all of this stuff kind of broke out here recently, I had to have real phone calls with these girls and say, hey, I'm looking at your Facebook. There's nothing on your Facebook. You're not talking about it enough. You're not proactive enough. And it was a simple conversation that we had to talk to. And trust me, it broke my heart. My stomach was in knots for days because as their friend, I was looking for outward support. I want you to tell everybody you know you're not going down with this white supremacist crap, right? And their point of view is, well, I don't think that I'm going to do the most good on Facebook. I'm not just doing it just to be saying I'm doing it. Like, I really want to do the work. Okay. Correct. So we had to have conversations on like, here are some things that you can do. And one of my friends said to me, you know what, Brandi, this is a battle I can take on for you. I can take this. You shouldn't have to fight to be Black and alive in America. How do I get involved? And what can I do to help you? What are some of the places I can go to get educated? I feel like I should know already, but I haven't done a good job. And I think that was a beautiful dialogue that allowed us to, first of all, for me to be very transparent. Everyone in my life knows I'm pretty blunt with whatever it is that I'm talking about. I just don't like the ambiguity. I don't like passive aggressiveness. I don't want there to be issues. I just like to nip them in the bud. And that one was a hard one for me because I had to settle with, we're in a very racially charged time right now. And these are my two best friends and they're white, right? And one of my best friends said to me, she said, when we go out, I always notice that they treat you differently, but you never say anything. Why is it that you don't talk about it? And from my perspective, it was, well, I've been Black all my life. It's like, it just kind of is, this is the way of the world, right? So I can either, and especially being married to a white man living in Perrysburg, which is predominantly white, has an air about some of these folks that live out here. They can be not so nice.
I just moved from Perrysburg, so I know what you're talking about.
Gotcha. And, and you know.
Listen, well, hold that thought. I got a comment 2 weekends ago or 2 weeks ago about our conversation, and this person's response to me was, my teeth are white, right?
Yeah.
Because of the background. It's because of the background. Agreed. They told me, or in the email, and I wasn't going to say anything because I was a little irritated. I'm going to. That they didn't, and this is the problem. I mean, at the end of the day, this is the problem. They didn't feel like you could speak about being Black because you weren't Black enough. So I responded back.
Out.
I responded
this
back.
Whole universe.
Right. I responded back saying, does she need to be like Whoopi Goldberg in The Color Purple for you to think that she's Black enough?
Right.
What does Black enough mean though? Like, I wonder where they were going. Is it a term of, is it the
I'll tell you what.
Okay, good.
You don't speak Black. You don't speak Black. You don't dress Black. This was their response to me when I said, what is it? So you don't look Black, you don't speak Black, you live in a white world.
Okay, go ahead.
And here's the kicker. This is when I stopped correspondence. You're too educated.
Ooh,
oh,
see, and out jumps the racism again without even realizing it, getting directed racism.
They assume that you went to boarding school and rode horses was their terminology.
Oh.
Went to private school.
You see what I'm saying though? You know, it's the assumption. First of all, there is an assumption that Black people are uneducated. Okay. It is statistically known, and I'll double check these dates, but as of like 2019, Black women were the most educated people.
You have to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You had to be. I mean, you have to be more.
Right? We're also the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs. right?
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about that, I thought back to my own family. My grandmother was one of the first Blacks that was allowed to work in administration in the White House. And I remember her talking about them making her work in the basement. She wasn't even allowed to go upstairs, but she was doing all of these memos and all the stuff that people were getting, thinking it was coming from congressmen. It was coming from my grandmother. And no formal education, just a hard worker. She became a business person until the day she died in like her 90s. I come from an educated family. That is the norm for me. Most of the people that I know are educated. You know, we all went to college. Like, what is Black? What does that mean specifically? And I must say this, thank them for bringing that point up, okay? Because I would be a lot Blacker had my ancestors not been raped by their slave masters.
Yup.
I am 28% white as a result of that, okay? So that's also part of the white world that I've been raised in, that my ancestors were raised in, my parents have lived in. And so with that being said, I mean, that doesn't mean I'm any less Black. I'm probably the Blackest person that a lot of folks, Blackest person, I guess I should say. I don't really know what that means. But,
Let me ask you this.
go ahead.
Do you think Claire Huxtable was educated?
Absolutely.
An icon? Okay. Do you think, here it is, do you think that Cookie from Empire,
Probably not.
two totally different smarts. Like
Right.
Cookie was rock on like street smart. Did you ever watch Empire?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know, so two totally powerful women, right?
Yep.
Educated in two different ways,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's Blacker?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Why do people think that Black people are a monolith, but white people aren't?
Right? Because if you're
people
white, you're just white
lawyers,
trash.
doctors.
If you're white, you're white trash.
Right.
Right?
But for you guys, there's only two separate. There's a category of white trash, and then there's middle class white people, upper class white people, your 1%ers, whatever.
Don't forget the wannabes, because they have their own section, right?
Right. Why do you get that rainbow? But we have to be hood with no teeth, or we have to be writing,
Or not Black enough.
or not Black enough.
Yeah.
Which is, this is not the first time I've been told that, so I'm not offended by it at all. Like, I've probably heard that 1,000 times. I'm not Black enough. I speak too well. I'm too educated. Like,
see, that's funny because you know what? That's funny that I grew up with the grade school that I went to. I grew up as a minority. I was, you know, there were only like a handful of other white kids in my class, and my parents did that on purpose.
Mhm.
And I'm most thankful for them for that. And so I get in trouble with people yell at me all the time for speaking AAVE. And they're like, you can't speak that. You're white. And I'm like, that's what I learned growing up. I'm sorry.
what do you say? What do you call AA? You said AAVE?
Yeah. African American Vernacular English, or like Ebonics. That's what people call it. Yeah. But it's actually, there's an identified. Yeah.
That you are raising up a lower class word or something we've been stereotyped to think of.
Oh no, it's a totally separate. There's rules.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just like, here's another one. There's a whole set of Geechee people that live in the Carolinas that people do not credit or give the proper credit because of their dialect. And the food you eat, gumbo, comes from the Geechee people.
Yep.
Our rice, the rice we have in America, is because the Geechee people were brought from Africa to Carolina because the white folks didn't know how to take care of the rice. So they went and got the people that did take care of the rice in Africa and brought them and put them, and they are the Geechee people, right? And so this whole subset of people are responsible for a lot of the foods we eat. Just having rice in general comes from the Geechee people. Some of the things we do in American food with tomatoes and things like that come from the Geechee people. And it is easy for America to distance itself from the positives that Black people have paid and created in this country, but it is so hard. Well, but it's not easy for America to distance Black people from success. But they can very closely and very easily align us with the one Black person they see on TV that's doing something crazy. Or even the 5 Black people. Maybe you see 5 Black folks and they're all doing something terrible. Does that mean every Black person's doing that? Because I'm sure not every white person is thinking, oh, we're all, all white people are different or the same. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand how it is that we still have these limits on what Black people could be, especially Black women. And then oftentimes when you get a Black woman that is assertive, educated, and not willing to take down, then I'm the angry Black woman. So, I invite that person.
Is Omarosa an angry Black person, or is she just Omarosa?
Omarosa is a different kind of person. We're gonna separate her from Black because I don't think that's the relevant word in this situation. Omarosa,
she's a character. Yeah, she's a character as like she's lost I mean, she's still human, obviously, but people, it's like the president. He's like he's not a person anymore. He's just like this character, and he's got to keep playing the character, and we all do that to a point. You have your different,
we wear the mask.
Exactly, you code switch. You have your different ways that you act for different things. It's just whether or not yours are inherently evil in the end or not.
Right. Sorry. Well, and the fact that Black people even have to code switch, why is it that I have to code switch? Because if I'm on here and Brian, code switching is when Black people go from speaking professionally, or sometimes it can be seen as with a accent or talking like a white person.
Absolutely. I know someone very well that does that. And she says she has to do that. At 5 o'clock, she says she turns hood. At 5:30, she is professional from 9 to 5. At 5:30, she turns hood. It's ridiculous.
With a lot of Black folks, there's typically like maybe there's one other Black person in the group. In the whole work environment. When we see each other, we may go, hey girl, or it may be something a little more Ebonics based, I guess you can say, since you were just talking about that. But that's code switching for us because there really is no place that appreciates or celebrates our dialect. In fact, they would much rather us conform. I remember going natural, and I worked at a big company here in Toledo. And an executive came and said to me, "Ooh, what are you going to do with your hair?" And I was like, this is the way it grows.
This is it.
You get what you get, And it threw her back. She was just kind of like, okay, this is not the environment. And then I had a Black person come to me and say, hey, this isn't the environment for you to go natural. They're not supportive of that. And to me, that is, since then, we've had things like the Crown Act that has happened in California and I think even Colorado. But it's crazy that Black women or even Black people in general are still trying to get our hair celebrated as like, this is my hair. But if I go to some places, this is not considered professional. Why do we have those fights? So there are all of these small wars that I feel like Black people are constantly at internally, in their community. Society just tells us there really is no place for us. Where do we fit in? But we've probably been some of the biggest contributors to your music, to your food, to everything you have is really coming from Black folks. So, I don't take
Elvis Presley came from Black folk music.
Elvis Presley didn't even write his own songs, and
I know what I'm saying. I mean,
yeah. I'm from the area where that music is, and I can tell you, there's a lot of stories there about who the real king was. But
look, I watched Dreamgirls. I saw how the Black people wrote the songs and the white people sang them.
Okay? Absolutely. And you know what? The sad part about that is there are so many artists. Great example, Sly and the Family Stone, right?
Okay, yeah.
Everybody knows Sly and the Family Stone, but Sly only last year got royalties for his music because it was so many loopholes and there were so many things that were done because he was a Black artist that he didn't get the credit. So you're talking about something that happened 50 years ago, and this man is homeless. and they finally give money for the music that he created. That he is not a single person. This has happened over generations. And I think now, because of us brilliant millennials, I'm a millennial too, I'm 35.
Hey.
I think that we are moving things forward, and we don't need, and I think especially creatives, you know, millennial creatives, there is a space, we have created an avenue where there's a lot more dialogue, there's a lot more places to converse with folks that don't look like us, to meet people that don't look like us, but to also get our message out and to kind of give a better idea as to what it is being Black, and you know, the issues we have with trying to be friends with white folks, and you know, how that can be problematic to some. For me, it's not hard to do. Obviously, I married a white person, but that's not because I'm anti-Black. I love Black. I love being Black. I love being Black. Trust me, like, it's great. I think it's.
But you also love your husband.
And I also love my husband.
You could do both.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I will tell you this: the more I came secure within my own Blackness and did my own research and found out my own history, which most Black people in America don't have because we were stolen. The more I did my own research, the more he appreciated the Black woman that I am. You know what I'm saying? Because I became more assertive, and most of us can't go to a book and see our ancestors' pictures and all the wonderful things that I'm sure you probably have. We just don't have that, because it's either boy slave, Black slave, you know, in most cases. So there is, I think we're still at war. I think there's still work to be done, but I think that we have to stop playing games with the people that say they don't understand. They understand, they just don't care at this point. And so we have got to start putting the line in the sand and say, hey, you are in a different group. We have to make it uncool to be racist. It has to be, we have to be anti-racist. You can't just be, you know, you have to be completely against white supremacy and completely against anyone that is willing.
Black and white, no pun intended.
Asian, Mexican.
I mean, it's a black or white situation. You're either you're for it or you're not. There is
you're
no.
In or you're out. And I'm the same. I think that has to go both ways too, though. I think that Black people, and I can say this with absolute certainty, I've called out family members for posting weird things about about Mexicans or about Asian people, especially with the China virus conversations that we had from our brilliant leader. I had to call some folks out and like, we're not doing that. We don't want them doing that to us. So don't do that. We're not going to do that to that subset of people. I don't think it's fair either way. So, you know, we do the best we can. My son also helps keep me accountable. We had a conversation here recently. That was a little while ago. And he told me, he said, Mama, what you said sounds racist. And I was like, okay. I was getting makeup, and I was like, I want to look at all the Black owned companies. And he was like, why can't you just get makeup? And I was like, because these companies qualify for my skin. And he was like, yeah, but that's racist. Like, why wouldn't you just pick a company and go with it? Why does it matter who created it? And so we had to have we're supporting, but we had to have a much deeper conversation about these companies don't market to me at all. They don't even have my shade. So I can't go there. So you have to make a clear distinction between what's racism and what is solely based upon brand loyalty and availability and things like that, right? So I think that, you know, we discount our kids sometimes and say, oh, they're kids, they don't know. They're not crazy. They can have full conversations. And I think that the more the millennial generation gets the message out to our younger cousins and little sisters and things like that, then we're going to start to see more, because the baby boomers have failed us at this point. We're We're
Absolutely.
failed.
Well, hey, we could keep talking this subject forever. This has been an
Absolutely.
amazing episode. I appreciate your time and energy today, Laura. As always, Brandy, it's been great. I do want to leave us with one best bet. I have been processing white privilege and how to explain it. So this is probably, I don't know if it's a really good way to explain it, but here it is. White folks, we have Hulu Live. We spend $20 a month. We get it for free when we're born. Brandy, you come in at $5.99 package. You get one screen. Hulu Live, not only do I get all the screens and all the things anytime I want it, but I also get to see it on 5 screens. Just because, you have to pay and do a little extra just to get something else to an extra screen, not allowing the actual variety of shows. So as a white person, my privilege is I get Hulu Live for free. I'm born with it no matter what. You have things that you need to do tier to be able to get up to that level, to be on the same playing field as I do. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's
So listen,
another good
again-
analogy.
It's all about the analogies.
Yeah.
All about the analogies. Well, we've got about 3 more weeks of our summer session ending this month, and then we will jump into our fall. We are booked as far as guests for the rest of the summer, but Laura, I'd love to have you back.
I'd love to come back whenever you have time. This is
I know
super
you're
fun.
busy on your
Yeah.
2 days a week, and you're celebratory, so I don't want to take that away from you. So,
Oh yeah.
Well, have us on your show too, Laura. I'll come.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. I
Absolutely.
would love to do that. That's yeah, so I like I said, I've just been started. It's again, it's Toledo Talks. You can find it on Apple and Stitcher and Google and where all those things flow from there. It's so yeah, I've just been starting. I know oh gosh, you'd think I only do it twice a week. I should know. I can't remember if it was Friday or I think it was Friday. I talked about the sheriff candidates, the different sheriff candidates, and because the Blade did a profile. I would love to be able to get to the point of have people coming on and talking, especially as November's ramping up, because I'm not going to be quiet about who I'm going to pick for everybody. So yeah, I would love to do that. And I would love to come back on for sure and have you guys on.
So
Absolutely.
Are you keeping stuff on your Facebook page too, so they can go over to that and see that? Have you created a Facebook page just for your podcast, so that way you can keep your personal and your podcast separate?
Yeah. Yep. So right now, the main place is to just subscribe to the podcast. I've got an Instagram going for Toledo Talks, and yeah, I'll do a Facebook page too.
Is there an email that they could reach out to you just in case they wanted to send any comments to you?
Yeah, if you can just email me at my regular email, it's llgurken, GERKEN, just like everybody's favorite commissioner, at gmail.com.
Perfect. And last thing, here it is. Are you ready? Laura, if you were a menu item on a fast food menu, what would it be and why? Past or present?
Diablo sauce at Taco Bell, and I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
It is self-explanatory. Did you hear they're taking 12 menu items off of the Taco Bell menu?
I did, and I heard that actually there are a lot of like vegan, vegetarian options too. So I know some of my friends are not super stoked about that because
But they're bringing on. I heard they're bringing on some vegan things to take off. Yeah, so the things are taken off. They talked about doing a limited time here and there, but one of the things, my favorites, was the Frito burrito.
Yes.
No more cinnamon twists. Gone.
Now that's just no. That can't stand.
That's an institution. I feel like they need to have cinnamon twisted.
People are going to complain. Okay, they're gonna get mad. So, well, listen again, ladies. Thank you so much for your time and your energy. We appreciate everything that you guys do and working on the community, spreading some amazing word, and more than not, practicing the things that you guys are preaching. That's what we're here for, to lend the community hand. So, be safe, take care, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.
Thanks.